A Bitcoin OG is predicting a supply squeeze very soon because of how much the Bitcoin ETFs are scooping up. But I'm going to tell you, there's a lot more underneath the hood on this one. And we need to dive into everything that Adam Back, the Bitcoin OG of OGs, who some might even think is Satoshi, is saying here, and why he is not even lining out all of the reasons why Bitcoin might be in a supply squeeze. But he did say just this morning that sooner or later, the building institutional and ETF interest is going to hit the supply squeeze. Timing is hard, but Bitcoin fundamentals are inevitable. He's even been heard saying much more earlier on this year, and we're going to listen to him directly here on this clip from CNBC.
Stages of a bull market at this point, typically the bull market cycle lasts for a certain period after.
Looks like we got a little bit of some internet issues here, I guess. But either way, Adam Back was talking about the potential of a supply squeeze there, where he's saying, hey, he still believes we are in the early innings of what is to be a bull run. Now, why does he believe we are in the early stages of this bull run? Well, it's because we haven't even seen too much going on here. Now, I've got this internet hopefully back up and running here, so let's hear it.
After the halving, and so we're still in the early innings. I think there's very stiff inflows from ETFs buying about 2 times the Bitcoin mined per day, MicroStrategy and the other Bitcoin treasury companies buying another 2 times, and the retail buyers and dollar cost average investors. So really that's a lot of inflow. I think temporarily there's some consolidation because some earlier investors, sort of midterm investors, profit taking, but that overlay would set us up for a price where you start to see Bitcoin competing with gold, perhaps pulling money out of gold ETFs into Bitcoin ETFs.
So he's lining out the scenario here, folks, where Bitcoin ETFs are buying up 2 times the amount of Bitcoin that is being mined and put out into the market. Then Bitcoin OGs and institutional buyers are doing the same thing. And then the plebs on top of that, the buying power from there. So, of course, we had a little bit of people skimming a little bit off the top. But what is the beauty of Bitcoin? Well, it's that fixed supply, folks, the 21 million, where some are even saying maybe it's even down to 18 or less because of lost coins. Who knows? Does Satoshi still have their keys? Was Satoshi Adam Back and he just threw those keys in the ocean? Who knows with all of this? But the amount of institutional buying cannot be denied. That is the one fact here that we all know. We can track these metrics, and there's plenty of people out there continuing to track these metrics about Bitcoin's buying, right? We've got just today, BlackRock buying 30 million more Bitcoin for their Bitcoin spot ETF. So $30 million worth of more inflows. Here's the great inflow tracker. I mean, look at these market caps. We have $48.5 billion assets under management for the IBIT alone. We've got nearly $1 trillion worth of market cap strictly just under these ETFs. And the 24-hour volumes are absolutely insane. How many ETFs do you think have a $1.15 billion in 24 hours for a trading volume? That's absolute insanity, folks. And look, everybody's going, oh, hey, we'll pay that 0.25% fee. And BlackRock is making an absolute crushing killing on all of this. But besides the point, we're seeing volume like we've never seen before. We're seeing massive amounts of volume. And here's a good chart where you could see all of the ETF volumes over time. So you could see here that towards the end of last year, when price started to spike up, we saw everything start to spike. Then Bitcoin's prices crashed. Then we've seen Bitcoin, a big accumulation phase here on the 23rd of January. And look, even at the lows when the Bitcoin ETFs were still there nearly a year ago, right? When those ETFs were just in the dumps, we have not hit those lows this entire time. So although many feel that we're in a bearish type of time, we've only crab walked around 70 to 85,000 here. Why are we doing that? Why isn't Bitcoin pumping yet? Well, like Adam Back says, the fundamentals will start to play out soon enough. So everybody's got to be looking at that, right? Looking at the fundamentals, looking at the volume, right? We know how many Bitcoin are going to hit the cycle every single day. And if we know that, then we can look at, hey, how much volume are we getting? We can look at the overall ETF, how they're looking comparatively. Those volumes every single day, the turnover rate, all of these things, they're absolutely just crazy how you can see how much money is being thrown into this. But I think the other wrinkle that many people are not looking at is it's not just the ETFs who are buying Bitcoin. The whales are starting to come back and buy in, or maybe these might be new whales. Last year, there was rumors of Mr. 100. Who was this guy? Mr. 100 could have been Michael Dell. Well, Michael Saylor has all his billionaire buddies now buying Bitcoin, and even Donald Trump. Maybe he's getting the Mar-a-Lago crew. Maybe he's getting some people in South Florida with the buku bucks. A lot of that Skrilla Manila now starting to buy Bitcoin. You know why? Well, he's very bullish. He's being crypto friendly, so to speak, right? He wants to be known as the first crypto president. Now we have Bitcoiners in high places. And because we have Bitcoiners in high places, it's tough to say who these people could be. All we know is more whales are starting to come in and they're starting to accumulate, right? TF is saying, hey, the volume going up means more people are selling, not only buying. I agree. It is not only selling and buying, but the inflows is what we were looking at here as well. And so that is a good point. And if you look at the inflows and the 24-hour volumes, it's just undeniable, though. We're seeing the amount of Bitcoin just get gobbled up, right? So we saw 30 million worth of inflows just today from this Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock. So, I mean, even though we're seeing the volumes extremely high, right? I mean, that's gaining a lot of attention around Bitcoin, even though the volatility is super low. So the trading of Bitcoin and the movement back, forth, up and down is very interesting and intriguing because there's always a tension around it, right? What's one of the things that they say about MSTR, now known as strategy, right? Although it isn't a part of the Magnificent Seven, the volume and the amount of trading happen with MSTR is like that of the Magnificent Seven. Now, how often do you see a company with a market cap that low being traded with a volume similarly to the big dogs in the house? Almost never, right? So the ETFs of Bitcoin seeing this much volume just shows how much attention there is around Bitcoin. And they're scooping up, they're buying. Either way, they're buying more than is being issued on a daily basis, and it's happening day in and day out. Adam Back sees it. We all see it. The other OGs see it, right? So it's just a matter of time until the Bitcoin fundamentals start to play out, right? Adam Back is just warning you. He's saying, hey, we might see this here, right? And what else is he saying about these Bitcoin ETFs? Let's listen in.
Yes. And then, of course, if the treasuries come in, like the sovereign treasuries, the Bitcoin reserves, that would be something where you'd see sovereign competition. And as soon as one of the bigger countries jumps in, I think the others will feel forced to follow suit.
So he even mentioned it here. He didn't mention it in his tweet about the sovereign entities coming in and buying Bitcoin because else. I don't know. Maybe he neglected it in this tweet, but I think that that is absolutely huge because we've got rumors of the sovereign wealth funds coming in to buy Bitcoin, right? The world's largest sovereign wealth fund is that of Norway. And that owns what? Majority MSTR. So it's essentially owning a Bitcoin proxy company. So these guys all own, these guys all have some sort of exposure to Bitcoin. Who else has a lot of, who has a very large sovereign wealth fund? I'm sorry, I am typing this out, so I'm getting this up for you guys. So Norway, the Saudis, and Kuwait. If you guys have been to this before, you guys know I love this chart looking at the sovereign wealth funds on what they are doing, because Norway has a big exposure to MSTR. There's rumors that UAE has one, and the United States wants to build a sovereign wealth fund. And of course, because of who Howard Lutnick is, the history that we've seen with all of this, it would not be surprising one bit to see if we got the United States sovereign wealth fund buying Bitcoin as one of their first buys. Look, that's all I'm saying. We need to first get out of debt before we get ahead of ourselves here. But I think it's interesting that Adam Back started to name nation states and sovereign wealth funds. Technically, the United States already has a Bitcoin strategic reserve, right? But as you guys all know, the job ain't finished. We need them to start seeing to buy Bitcoin, and that hasn't happened yet, right? But that's an added buying pressure that, okay, we have the ETFs buying up 2 times the amount that's being issued. We have the institutional buyers buying up. We have the plebs buying up. And then now you add sovereign wealth funds, which once one starts doing it and announce it, it's going to start a snowball effect. And then we have another where, potentially the countries and nation states are always going to do that as well. Then we're off to the races. I think that, the supply squeeze is not going to be anything necessarily like we are ready for, because the amount of buying power and the amount of money that we have on the sidelines here is something that we have not seen in Bitcoin's life relative to even the highest of, market caps that we are in. So as my man All Nighter Hider says, smoke the like Cheech and Chong. Oh man, we got a lot of fans of McLovin in here. McLovin the G. He's in here every chat, man. The GOAT. Welcome on in, McLovin. TF said, I think somebody at the U.S. government purposely lost the 12 words on a boating accident. Look, I think that this is an interesting kind of theory to play out. Like, what benefit does the United States have to announce that they are buying Bitcoin? Because we all know once that happens, it's off to the races, right? This is going to be absolutely astronomical. Like Donald Trump, he said, hey, you're welcome, Bitcoiners. I boosted Bitcoin to over 100,000, right, when he got elected. But as McLovin is saying, this will be a bigger run than on toilet paper during the pandemic. That will be something that's insane because, hey, we can manufacture more toilet paper. You can't manufacture any more Bitcoin, right? I mean, Charmin was absolutely crushing it during the pandemic, but that's why everybody became ultra soft. That's my theory, right? You have the little bear there, the softness you can see. You're going to start sending that GIF and tweeting it at everybody. Tweet it at every Bitcoin bear, the softness you could see. That one's an electric GIF. You guys should start using that. But anyway, I love the fans. I love you guys in the chat. So what I'm going to do for you today is I'm going to give you guys some free Satoshis because my friends at the Bitcoin Well are lunatics. Every single time you buy Bitcoin from the Bitcoin Well, you get Wishing Well tokens. And then on top of that, the Wishing Well tokens, you can throw the coin down the well. Then you can have the potential to win 1 million sats. So you guys need to all set up that DCA, get yourself some sats, Set that up. Look at this. You could buy 3 for $10. You buy 5 for every $10 recurring buy. Set it up weekly, folks. 500 on your first transaction. You need 500 every time you toss a point. So, folks, start buying Bitcoin. Set up that DCA, $10 every week, every day. Set it up so you guys can get ready. $5, $10, whatever. And then you get these wishing well tokens. So get your Lightning wallets ready because I'm about to flick this down there. And what do we have this craziness in the chat? I manufactured more poo during the pandemic. That's electric. Absolutely electric. All right, another 210 sats. That'll buy you guys some more toilet paper in the future. That's all I got to say. All right, those 210 sats, just hold on to that. It'll buy you some more TP. And if you didn't get this, you could go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle and it'll give you some wishing well tokens as well. Once you do that, if you've got a big buy, you could scroll on down here. You could even see my ugly mug telling you why to go to the Bitcoin Well. A message from me. Go and look at that. Look at these large Bitcoin transactions. Get yourself, if you got a big bag, get yourself 50K worth of Bitcoin or more by scrolling down on bitcoinwell.com/greencandle and then put it all in self-custody, folks. Bitcoin Well, the reason I partnered with them is because they force you to do self-custody. That's why I love the Bitbox, because it makes it so damn easy. I've got mine literally sitting right here. You guys might not be able to see me because I'm small, but I got mine sitting right here, right next to me. I go and buy mine. I use it to stack. I have Bitcoin Well sending it directly to my Bitbox. You could go there, use the Bitcoin only edition, which I prefer. And then you go Steel Wallet. You could get everything all in one here. And then once you do that, you can use promo code GreenCandle for 5% off. Because what are we seeing, man? We're seeing these OGs yell from the rooftops. Brandon, all-nighter hider. Boys, buy Bitcoin now. Because we need to wipe these poo coins off. We can legitimately create more Bitcoin, but it would take a consensus. And it's not likely unless for some legitimate reason. Hey, exactly. That is true, all-nighter hider. I just think no matter what it is, I don't think we can all agree on one thing. Maybe that's bearish on humanity, but it's bullish on Bitcoin in my eyes. I think some people are going to take their Bitcoin to the grave, a la Michael Saylor and others. But we're seeing this massive amount of volume going back and forth, right? We're seeing a lot of people buying all this. BT Green Candle Mortician commemorated the life of these deceased poo coins. I need to maybe wear a suit and tie at the end of this one. Maybe I'll come in. You guys know another one of my partners, the Bitcoin Way. I wasn't going to do this ad read, but I got to bring it up because now you guys are saying I look like a mortician here. I've been told I look like a funeral director in here with the suit. But hey, I was just wearing the suit and tie there for some of these poo coins. I smelled a supply freeze coming when these ETFs started. Amen to that. And I think that is going to be the case here, right? All-nighter hider says my opinion is historically accurate. Most people can't agree. I agree, unfortunately. If we could all agree, then we would get more people onto Bitcoin at this point in time. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten that yet. So if you guys haven't smoked the light, keep doing it. Put the comments in there. Comment on the chat. Comment everywhere so we can boost the algo. Keep it going. Because what we're seeing are these new whales starting to come on in as well, right? So I think there's an accumulation phase that we got going on. We see more Bitcoin OGs coming online, or more Bitcoin whales, starting to come. We see now older guys who are coming in, buying up more Bitcoin. We see a lot of these big money managers now having an opinion on Bitcoin and speaking about Bitcoin all the damn time. And I just think the adoption is insane. Like, it's undeniable at this point. We have politicians around the globe talking about Bitcoin on a daily basis. Legitimately, we have essentially a battle here. Who can get passed through law first to scoop up more Bitcoin? More and more states around the United States are looking at it. Texas would be like the third or fourth, it would be a top 10 economy in the world if it was its own country. We've got Florida looking at a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We've got states on top of the full-on country of the United States looking at it. And we've got others just looking at stacking Bitcoin at an all-time rate. So the fact that we have OGs just saying, hey, stay humble, stack sats, keep it cool here, folks. Keep it 100. It makes sense. Right. And we've all been through this, or they've all been through this cycle before. Like, I don't want to speak for everybody. Right. But I've been through plenty of cycles to know that, hey, you just got to wait it out a little bit. These 20 to 30% dips that we're seeing now are just par for the course. So as everybody has been screaming, oh, Bitcoin's dead. Could you imagine if we were saying Bitcoin was dead there last year? McLovin, Brandon doesn't get trapped underneath the beach whales that like Luke does. He's on time. Amen to that. Hey man, I always try to get on time. Maybe I'm a couple minutes late here or there, but Luke Cito, man, the guy's got to hit the gym a little bit. I feel bad for the guy. He likes his gorditas, his tortas, God bless the kid. But, I mean, we talk about whales a lot. It's not just the girls that Luke brings around. It's the Bitcoin guys with the big old bags. So it could be a double meaning here, right? I mean, like McLovin is saying, when people are bored with Bitcoin, it's the best time to stack. Amen, brother. And that's what all these people are doing. That's why I think we're seeing the volume kind of go up and not hit a low. I truly don't believe that all these guys are like buying, selling as much or selling as much as they're buying. I think a lot of these institutional investors are starting to see this as of this volume game. Maybe they're trading a little bit, but when Bitcoin is not super volatile, like, we've gotten a week of 6%, we've gotten a month of 2%. When you see low volatility, like we're seeing right now in Bitcoin, it doesn't make for the best trading environment, right? So Bitcoiners are scooping up Bitcoin. Institutional investors are scooping up Bitcoin. And everybody's looking at this and seeing this as a time to keep it on moving. So hit that subscribe button with the bell notification. My man, All Nighter Hider, did it at the beginning, so he got the notification, and then smoked the like Cheech and Chong, as he famously says in the chat. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and thank you guys all for joining in. I'm going to do a later live stream on the Macro Insights channel, so if you guys haven't checked that one out, you guys should go to your YouTube, search up Macro Insights Pod, and I'm going to put that in the chat here. I haven't set it up fully yet, so maybe I'm going to do it here in about an hour or so. But guys, go to this channel. I'm going to do one strictly on the macro, similar to what you guys know is like George Gammon. A lot of these guys, they go do all these great macro shows. So go check that channel out. Hit the subscribe button over there, bell notification, and I'll see you guys in about an hour.